when you're designing something for like, say today like Gojek has like 29 million to I think 30 million users, right?
Yeah.
Like how do you go out with taking these design decisions for like designing certain features, making like certain whether you want to even work on that feature or not, right? So that's something I would definitely like to know, because it's so much more different when you're working as a solo designer or
Yep.
when you're working with a small team, right? The bandwidth is so low that you sometimes the design is based. I mean, the decisions are based on data. Sometimes it's pure gut decisions.
Yep. I think in case of Gojek, a lot of understanding of what the problems are. So it always starts with the problem itself, right? That's what is at pretty much the core of whatever we do at Gojek. There's always a problem, be it from business, be it from our research team, which conducts a lot of research and helps us figure out, okay, that these are the things that we're not doing really well or we can improve in, and these are the things we're doing really well, so maybe we can get a little bit better at it, or these are the future opportunities that we where we can grow and maximize sort of. Those pretty much are, I think, the entry points for where it all starts from, right? From there, I think it's trying to understand that, okay, for example, if I want to build a new feature, and obviously having had prior discussions with the research team and figuring out, okay, is this really going to be helpful? For example, they talk about a problem and figure out together that, okay, this sounds like something that's very interesting, and this might also be able to contribute to the business goals of the for the year, right? For example, obviously it has to some extent contribute to the business goals, right? It can't be a problem that's completely different from what the business goals are, right? There are smaller things that you do as a designer, time to time, to improve product experience, but I'm talking about, say, a big feature, right? That is where you collaborate with the stakeholder, all the stakeholders, and tell them that, okay, this is what we've learned. So generally, what we do is we will have these cadences, right? We'll have these meetings in which there's a researcher, there's an engineering lead, there's a product manager, there's a designer, sometimes there's even an interaction designer, or like a visual designer, and we'll all sit together, and the research team will sort of share their insights, that these are the problems that we've learned over the past, say, couple of months, or over the past 2-3 researches, and this is what we want to sort of propose, that these are ideally what we should be looking at, right? Now that is where sort of all the team comes in and they share their thoughts. Product designers chip in and sort of share their ideas around what are the things that can be done to solve this problem, and what are the different approaches to probably tackle this problem and reach whatever the goal is that is agreed upon in those discussions. So that is where the expectation is set, that, okay, this is the problem that we know for sure. Obviously, if we are not very sure about if this is a big enough problem, we do say, for example, market sizing research, try to understand how big of a like sort of demographic is affected by this problem, right? Or even to some extent, if that is not something that's available to us, just try to, because everything is data backed, you can just go back and look at data and figure out that, okay, 2 or 3 million people are impacted by this, right? For example, say something goes wrong at checkout. We know that this is a very important problem because it's checkout, right? So depending on which area you're in, uh, we try to figure out, okay, this is the number of people that's roughly going to be impacted, so obviously this is a bigger problem that we want to solve. From there, we start brainstorming with the team that, okay, uh, what can be the different ways of doing this. That is where, and one thing that, I mean, I really like about Gojek is the involvement from the very get go. Like, I did like we like to involve like product managers, engineers. I mean, there's pretty much always an engineering lead. There's always a product managers. There's we try to involve copywriters, motion designers. Motion design, I think, still plays sometimes comes a little later in the sort of process, because you also have to keep in mind everyone's bandwidth, right? You don't want to involve everyone in every meeting unless and until it's something that's useful for them. So we try to involve everyone who's necessary and who's going to add value, and they might have something to share which uh, might change the way that we look at that, say, problem or feature. uh, Once we've sort of decided that, okay, these are the 2-3 things that we want to do, based on the kind of bandwidth that engineers have, based on the kind of bandwidth that designers have, or the time that it's going to take, if it's going to fit into that, say, for example, second half or first quarter or second quarter or whatever that is, then we go about designing that feature, right? This is where the product designers will closely collaborate with product managers, and set the right expectations of that. Okay, this is what ideally we want this feature to do. uh, this is what a good future is going to look like, if this product is successful, if this feature is successful. uh, Again, a lot of insights during that stage are also shared by researchers. And once we've finalized things, it again goes back to sometimes research team. If you want to do a usability session, if we just want to test it with people, if this is something that's useful at all for them, or if it's even meeting the original goals that we had in place, right? So that is something we do from there on. After that is generally goes to the interaction design team, the visual design team. They work on the visuals. At that point also, sometimes if you're not very sure that, okay, will people be able to understand that this is a button versus this is a chip, then if it's required, we'll again go back and do like a session, a test again, there as well. So there's actually a lot of testing along this sort of route, right? Because whatever we ship, we know that this is something we definitely want to vet through all the people that we know and ensure that this is something that's usable, right? Even in those cases, still a lot of times when you actually send something out to production, there's always going to be like cases where something comes up you never knew, right? You're like, I could not have thought of it, right? And this sometimes comes after you've had a session with like the QAs, the product managers, and literally everyone in the team trying to find edge cases. And everyone does that really well. And then there's this user popping up on Twitter and telling you, what's wrong with this? And you're like, oh God, I never thought of this. So I think the structure, the process, right, is the most important part of pretty much everything that we do at Gojek. So the way the process has been set in a way so that it eliminates, to some extent, I would say, not completely, obviously it's just not possible, but to some extent eliminates the chances of a product failing simply just because it does not even meet up to the basic expectations, right, of users, of business, or whoever is involved. So I think it's through this process that we're able to build products that we know, we feel to some extent confident in, and we know that, okay, this is something that is definitely, we feel that is going to work based on our research, based on whatever we've done. And again, once and then it's pushed out, we track the numbers, we figure out that, okay, these are the things. Again, that is the initial setting up the success metrics that's done with the PM. So we'll try to monitor those. In a lot of cases, the PMs also help us out, with figuring out what should be the right success metrics in case we're only looking at, say, a very smaller set of metrics. After that, there's always learnings, right? That is where it also becomes an iterative cycle. You've just released the MVP of the product. Now the research team does more research. There's a lot of social media listening. That's something we always do. So there's like dashboards set up for social media listening. So whenever people share some social media feedback, it comes to us first, or maybe not first, but second, third, somewhere down the line. And we get to know that, okay, this is completely like not working versus this is working really well. People seem to be really excited about this. And that is probably then what shapes the second iteration, the third iteration, the future of the product, and also helps us learn that, okay, this is really how people are interacting. So I think that's the kind of probably the design funnel or the design process we have at Gojek. And again, it also depends from feature to feature. Some features are very small, so there can be some features that will take 6 months to make. There would be some features that would just take, like, I don't know, 6 days to make, or maybe a little less. It's generally not that low because you still need to test things, raise requests, raise a lot of requests with a lot of teams to ensure that everyone knows that, okay, this feature is being made. Take it through a lot of reviews through designers. So generally, it does become a long process, and I think that is what happens in bigger, slightly bigger design teams and products which have like a bigger target audience. It goes through a lot of different design reviews, not just design reviews, but reviews, with stakeholders also in general, to ensure that nothing is missed. At least, I mean, at least the missing part is covered. If there is something that can be done more potentially, that again is, it's covered in further releases or down the line. But yeah, I think that's the baseline of what we look at. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I I can totally relate to the edge case part. Uh, to discover edge cases once it has gone to production, right? But in general, whatever you said so far is was like really insightful, and especially to understand like how bigger design teams function, because as someone who has probably never worked in a design team, like larger than say 5 people,
Mhm.
it's I'm always curious to understand, like how are decisions made, how do teams collaborate, how do so many people come together to work on just one single feature, right? Even though the feature might be something small, but it's crafted so well and done so neatly that it delights the user, right?
Yep.
So I was super curious to know this, and I'm so glad you shared all the insights from that.
One more thing that I wanted to point when you talk about how sort of the team collaborates, I think, which is a very important aspect, which is actually being able to work async. I think this is something that people don't really talk a lot about. So 99% of my team sits out of Jakarta, right? I'm pretty much the only, I think, person in my team. And now there's a few more folks that have joined, specifically my team in food. I'm not talking about food, I'm talking about my specific team in food. So it's an even smaller team, right? And I think what really helps us a lot in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to design decisions, as you mentioned, is documentation. So that's the most basic thing that we really look forward to. We do a lot and we practice actively at Gojek across different teams. So be it food, be it transport, be it groceries, or the main platform team, or whatever team it is, right? So that is something we practice a lot, because again, you have to be mindful of the fact, especially in these times, right? Not There's only a fixed number of hours that you have in a day, right? And that's true for pretty much everyone, right? We all have the same number of hours in the day. So we want to be mindful of how much time we're taking up of someone who's in front of us, trying to understand something that we've done. So how do you go about ensuring that they get to know what they want in a format that's easily consumable for them, and they can do it at at their discretion, right? Be it maybe during the work hours, or later, or whenever they have time to actually do it, right? So I think documentation is something that's really helped. When Before Gojek, I actually I was previously working with Goa Vibo, and I think because the team was mostly sort of co-located, we were all working together, especially my team was sort of working together. So it would not require us to do a lot of documentation, uh, especially because of the the way that the team was set up, right? The fact that the PMs, the engineers, everyone from my team was literally just one block away from me, right? They will literally sit next to my table. So in those cases, I think, and especially when the teams are not that big, documentation is not that important. It's still great to maintain if you can do it, if you have the time to do it, which I think you should take out the time to do it. It's great because it helps you track decisions. Whenever you try to retain something in your memory, there's always going to be some kind of mess up that you do, because you can only contain so much information in your brain, right? So every time you rethink about it, some kind of data is modified, right? So that's what I tell people, that the more amount of information is stored, especially if it's specifically if it's numbers, you're probably going to modify them a bit every single time you tell it to someone, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to have everything in one place. So that is something that really helps us out, man. I mean, it saves so much time. It's great because you can directly give feedback even if you're not directly in that design review. Say for example, you had some other meeting come up and you still want to give design review, or you want to see what happened in the design review, you can do that. So I think that is yeah, the basis of communication is very important in slightly larger design teams, and not just design teams in general. I think in just larger companies, larger orgs as well, communication makes for a very important I would say component of how the teams work together. So yep.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Product Stories for more such episodes.